predictability of the creative process. The best work, she says, make themselves, where those relationships between odd or desperate forms are meant to be. She is the developer, building worlds from fragments. Jenny has over 50 years' experience creating art. As an artist, art lecturer, and visual designer, she has produced large public sculpture and many smaller works for a number of Australian galleries. Jenny creates intriguing worlds by manipulating found objects and making others. Her work often displays a bizarre juxtaposition of elements laced with narratives and metaphors. It's our honour to talk to Jenny tonight and to get a closer look at her beautiful work and her amazing life and contribution to the arts community in Australia.
Oh, well, that's good.
Hello, Jenny.
I can't hear you, though.
Okay. It'll come back on, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I tell you, these little sound problems we're having is quite interesting.
What can I do?
That's okay. Give it a sec. I might put a photo up because that helped last time, didn't it? Okay.
Should I
try this one? How's that, Jen? Can you hear me now? Sorry, guys. I know there's a few of you watching, but we won't be long. We're just having a couple of technical issues. A lot of our artists love their iPads, and the program that we use doesn't really like iPads. Okay, so Jen's left the studio, but she's going to pop back in and then we'll be right to go. So I just want to applaud Jenny before she comes back on, because not being, hugely technically savvy, she spent a lot of time today putting together her images for tonight, getting her computer ready, updating her iPad to the latest version of Safari. So, these interviews we bring to you each week because we want to, we want to engage with people and we want to bring you some joy, especially during these crazy times. But it does take time out of the artist's week. And I just want to applaud Jenny for what she's doing tonight. So
I'm back.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi. That was funny because it went off. The mic went off.
Yeah, it's so strange. So, yeah, I think I was just explaining to people, I think it's an iPad thing. So that's okay. We do what we can. So
yeah. Well, the new version is a bit troublesome, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
yep. Cheers anyway.
Cheers, Jenny. We've had a hard day, haven't we?
We have had a hard day. That technology is a nightmare sometimes.
I know. Well, I was just saying to everybody who's watching how much I appreciate your effort and the effort that all of our artists put into, making these interviews interesting and visually exciting for people as well by sharing your images and, getting those across to me and setting up the text. So thank you.
You've done a lot too. Yeah.
It's fun. That's my pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are things in East Gippsland?
Well, pretty good, really. Coronavirus, like there's nobody here has the virus, so that's really great. But we can't go anywhere, and you can't go and have a glass of wine with anyone on Friday night, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyway, I'm sure we'll get over it sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, well, you are alone, but you're not alone. We're all in it with you.
That's exactly right. I think what it does is it actually forces you to, I've been one of those people that have always flitted around the country, like I think, I'll just go over there and I'll just do this and I'll go to North Queensland and I'll do all that. And then coronavirus has made me stay home, which has been really good, especially for my artwork, because I've made more artwork than I have for a while. And I've experimented with new things, which is really good.
We've got a lot of your artwork to show everyone tonight, so I'm really looking forward to sharing that with the people that are watching. We've got Noni here. Hi, Noni.
I know.
And beautiful Glennis. Hi, Glennis.
Hi, Glennis.
And gorgeous Wendy.
Hello, Wendy. Hi. Chin.
So did Wendy do one of your workshops? Because I'm looking at her profile image and every time I see it, I think of you.
She did. And
yeah.
And at the end of our week, I went and stayed with Wendy and her husband, and she cooked the most magnificent roast lamb. Like, it was just a fabulous night. And so, you know, it's lovely that she's here watching. It's great. I sort of, you know, it's terrific.
Great. Jenny's here too. Oh, I'm glad we're all drinking red wine tonight. This is so great.
It is good. It is Friday, I suppose.
Yeah, we were just saying before we went live that, you know, usually we try and match I try and match headwear with our special guest, but you're just rocking that beautiful headscarf, and I can't do headscarf, so we'll go with the wine.
Sounds good.
So, Jenny, for people watching that aren't familiar with you and your journey, can you give everybody a little bit of and your career is just so massive. Can you give people a little bit of an insight into how you got into art in the very first place? And, you know, just your journey into teaching, and would you mind sharing?
Not at all. I think I always knew I was going to do something with art at very early age, because I could draw even then. You know, like I remember in grade 1, kids asking me to draw them trains and things like that because I could draw them in 3D. And I don't know, the interest was always there, and my mother was very supportive of that. And I sort of fell into art teaching by accident, really. I did work in industry as like a graphic designer, but really just a finished art worker for a printing company. And then I left that and went teaching. And I did teach at secondary school for a long time, and then I left that and went to TAFE and ran the art department at TAFE for quite a long time. And that was just a fantastic place to work because it was like the hub of the community, and it was we did lots of things with the students, like we did lots of festivals and events and encouraged the students to sort of participate in festivals and events. Meanwhile, I was still making things in the studio, I suppose. I had kids to raise, so I was using teaching as an income and making art when I could then, when the kids were little. Yeah. But now I'm retired, I can do as much as I like. It's really good.
Lucky you. Lucky you. I've got a gorgeous photo here of you in your early teaching days. So that's you in the front left, and your new husband is second on the left there.
Yes, that's right. That was the early days at the Bairnsdale Technical School. It was an all-boys school, so it was fantastic, actually. The boys were fantastic in those days. Very different to now, I think. They even used to give the strap and things like that in those days.
Really?
Yeah. Not that I did, but yeah, we had a fun time.
I can't imagine that.
Taught everything from jewellery making to, like, we'd teach the kids how to make toboggans and take them up to the snow, and they'd race down mountains on these toboggans that they'd made in the art room. And, you know, we used to have just a great time. Couldn't do it today because I think you have to have one teacher to 6 students if you go on any excursions to the snow these days. Then It was 2 teachers and we had 40 kids. And we nearly lost one, but we got him back, thank God. But yeah, they were scary days.
I'm glad you got him back.
Yeah, him and his mate went down the side of the mountain we told them not to go on, and it took them all day to walk up the mountain with their toboggan. And I think they might have left the toboggan, but they just made it back on dusk, and we were so worried. We thought, oh my God, we've lost 2. Anyway, we found them.
That's hilarious. I think you would have been a really cool teacher to have.
Yeah, the kids did like me. I know that. They, I always had a good relationship with them because I liked them too. And I particularly liked the naughty ones. And I think that was because I was probably a bit naughty when I was young. And I sort of knew that they weren't really desperately having a go at me. They were just, airing their bits, really.
I think art too, for a lot of kids and a lot of students, is a bit of a refuge, isn't it? So they might not be academic in the sense that, they're achieving high results in their maths and their English and all the rest of it. But with art, there's something freeing about that, and they can just, I don't know, I find with my kids as well, with their art teachers and with their creative teachers, they just can be more of themselves. Did you find that when you were teaching?
Absolutely. And, like when I think especially during the TAFE years, you get students that just didn't fit into normal school, like normal secondary school, and they'd come down. And, they might not have got, a lot of them went on to Monash, but if they didn't, it gave them a bit of a study pattern and they actually did something with their lives afterwards, So it was really good. It was great for the community. We saved lots of souls, I think.
Yeah. I want to show people some of your amazing community art. But before that, Wendy says, still a very cool teacher.
Thanks, Wendy. That's nice.
So throughout your career, you've had these amazing opportunities to engage in communities, rurally and locally and through the school. What does engaging in community, or what does the arts within community mean to you?
Well, I think what it does, it brings people together. It's a way of, it's like when you do good for somebody else, how it makes you feel really warm and fuzzy. Well, I think working in the community like that does. The community itself appreciates the help because often they don't have enough help to do the things that they need to do for their festival or for their whatever day it is that they're doing. And it engages a lot of people, and people just meet other people. They get down and dirty and they get glue all over them or paint all over them, and they just have a really great time. And then they might come to the event at the end of the week or the end of the day or whatever. And people make a lot of friends that way. And I just think it's just a fabulous way to engage people.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's beautiful, isn't it? And the act of making within a group too, I find it opens up conversations that might not necessarily have happened. When you're using your hands and you're not necessarily just having that one-on-one conversation, but the conversation happens.
Yes, it does. And I don't know, you sort of get into those, like we used to take the students from the TAFE that were doing the Diploma of Visual Arts down to Mallacoota for 2 weeks, and they would live down in Mallacoota making artwork, like Don Ashby, who was often the guy that knew everything. He was amazing, Don Ashby. He used to work for the Melbourne Theatre Company, and he showed us a lot of techniques, like how to make cane and paper things. And, he said, don't make them little, make them big, make big things. So we used to make these huge things, cover the front of buildings with cane and tissue and all sorts of amazing things. And the students would get into it during the day, and if people wanted to help, they'd come and help. And you were always trying to clean up the big marquee, the art tent, as we called it, because there'd be stuff spread everywhere, after a day of work. And it was just a really good time. And then at the end of the day, everyone would go to the pub or go for a counter tea or whatever. And it was really good.
That's beautiful. I've got a picture here of one of your bigger, or one of the installations that you did. And is this at Mallacoota? This one here? Oh, yeah, it is Mallacoota. Yeah.
Yeah, that was at Mallacoota. That was with the students, and I worked with a lady Catherine Larkins at the time, and so we made that together, and it was at sunset at Bector Beach in Malakuta, and all the zebras were all lit up with candles, and there was candles on that far shore, and then some other students and their husbands made that huge giraffe and those other things, and that all got burnt on the beach at night. It looked incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of work.
That's incredible.
That's me and myself and Catherine carrying the zebra in the parade. Eva Grunden is in there too, and I think Sue Patton, local people that people might know.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Another one that had me laughing was that you're involved in the Mad Hatter's picnic or tea
party. It was a morning, an afternoon tea or afternoon tea, and it was for all the SES workers and the fireys and everybody that helped during. We had a bit of a crisis. We had big fires. We've had big fires before, like in those times, and so we made this big table, and all the people in the community, like businesses in the community, would come to the art room at the weekends, and they would make a special chair from their company. So, if it was Bairnsdale Bearings or Dalsons or whoever it might have been, people came and made their chair in the art room, and they made these mad chairs, and that became down this huge big table with a big gingham runner right down the middle of it, and huge big Alice in Wonderland figures made out of plywood that stood up in the gardens, and
that's incredible.
It was fun. There was a few celebrity people there, and
Has anything like that emerged from this round of fires, or was it just been
No, not really. This round of fires, I'm in a local Rotary group, and they have been giving caravans and containers and things like that to people, fridges, money. Like, it's been amazing, really, the money that people have donated to Rotary, because I think Rotary people sort of live in the area. They know where to place the money, so that's been really, really good. People that need it get it. So there's been people in the club working on that.
Yeah. One of my favourite people from your area, Eula Shitha, is involved in Rotary quite heavily. I think she was the president for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the other club that I'm not in her club, but she does the Day for Girls thing, and we've had a bit of a go at that too, trying to help out, occasionally.
Yeah. Are you comfortable telling people about what Days for Girls is if they're not familiar with it? Because we've got a lot of stitches, a lot of people, so they probably already know about it, but I think it's an amazing initiative.
It's what it is. It's a little pack in a pencil case that has pairs of knickers, a Ziploc bag, and it has these little pads that are made out of the menstrual cycle, made out of flannelette. And it's because girls, when they have their menstrual cycle, they were ostracised. They weren't allowed to go to school and all of that. And this way they can go to school because they've got the equipment, because they can't buy things in the supermarket like we can. And so it's gravitated not just to girls but to mothers, and all sorts of people around the world are all wanting them in these communities that don't have as much as what we have. And they come in a little bag with a drawstring, and they're colourful, and nobody knows what they are, and so it works. It's just been amazing. Like, the response to it's been amazing.
I was incredibly blessed to be able to go to India with Eula and her beautiful daughter Jo, and we spent some time in a community high in the mountains, and the majority of Eula's luggage was these packs, these Days for Girls packs. And also whilst we were there, we went to the local markets and we sourced a whole heap of fabric, and we got that shipped back to Australia, and that went up to your region, and you know, the ladies were just amazing. But what was the most surprising thing was something that in our culture I think that we sort of hide away from and we don't really talk about. But and I guess to some extent they didn't talk about it much there, but the girls, the little packs were like backpacks, the ones that I saw, and the girls would wear them on their back walking to school, you know, like through the village, and with such pride. And it was like, I can go to school, you know, I can have my period and I can go to school, and I've got an amazing backpack. And they were just delighted.
Isn't it fabulous? My friend just texted me and said there's a power outage in Mitchell Street, but I've still got power, so I don't know. Let's hope nothing goes wrong, just in case.
All right, well, quickly, we better get on with it.
Still light.
That'd be very funny if you just went black.
Black all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm just saying it could happen.
Yeah. One of your most favourite community projects was something called On Salty Ground. And the images that you sent through were just incredible. Would you mind talking? I'll put a couple of images up on the screen. Would you mind talking people through how you were involved in that project and what it took to get it together?
Okay. Well, initially, Mildura always had a big arts thing every year, but it was very highbrow. You know, it was Mozart on the Murray, and it was things like that, you know, and they wanted something that was for just the normal people of the town. And there's a lot of communities. There's Turkish and Greek and Italian and, you know, Indigenous, and many of them. And so we engaged all the schools and the universities and the secondary schools. And I did the concept for On Salty Ground, and basically what it was green, white, green. So green at the start, white because the salt has come in and ruined the crops and the land, and then green again with good practice. And we gave out trees at the end of each performance, little tubes of trees for people to plant. But it involved, I remember heading up to Mildura on the plane. I knew a woman called Lindy Bartholomew, who was the festival director that year, and that was all really. And I got to Mildura and I thought, oh my God, I must be crazy. You know, I've got all this to do and I've got 6 weeks to get it together. And I knew Lindy, and that was all. So I finished up going on the local ABC radio, and I got in touch with the local council, and they were all just so amazing. Like, I just got all these people that wanted to come and help, and the council gave me at the depot, they gave me a huge workshop that I could make everything in. And then people just started coming on board, you know, like, it was just amazing. So we made 120 costumes and built a stage, and, you know, it was all done on a fairly cheap budget. That stage, the low loader, I got the low loader for a slab of beer, I remember. It came from somewhere near Adelaide. And the guy said he'd bring the stage over for a slab of beer, and I said, okay, you're on. So it was 2 circular stages with a bridge between, and it had that huge big metal tree at the back, and the students made all the animals that went on that tree out of aluminium foil, not foil, flashing. So that was all cut and punched out. And the stage flats at the back were just corrugated iron because we wanted it to look sort of very Australian. And also there were big cauldrons that held salt. Oh, there goes the power.
Oh, no, you're very dark.
I'm black. Maybe I can put my phone. It was an outage.
There's Jenny, everybody.
No, I'll see if I can flick my phone light on. There we go. I'm in the dark. I'm here.
Oh, Jenny, that's fabulous.
I cannot believe that we'd have a power outage tonight. Just unbelievable.
I'm sorry, but if there's anybody out there just cracking up like I am, this is just hilarious.
Oh my God, I can hardly even find my drink. Oh dear.
Okay, all right. Well, we get a power on, hey?
Let's power on. I'll just keep this phone on. Let's hope it doesn't die now.
Okay, keep talking about that amazing,
Yes,
yeah.
I worked with a lady, Anna Smith, who was a choreographer, and she was out of the VCA, the Victorian College of the Arts, and she trained all the dancers, and I just worked with all these people to make the costumes and build all the sets and things like that. And we had it on for 2 nights, and it was a roaring success because all the family members, because there was 120 dancers, it meant that all those families came, and it was down on the loch, on the Murray, on the loch lawns. So it was a beautiful setting, you know, there on the river, and it was just a magical couple of nights. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you said that and how you recognised that because it was not as expensive as maybe some of the other community events that were happening, that you had a whole heap of families come. Like, it was such a wide variety of people came.
It was. That's right. And I think that's what they thought the festival needed, because it did have a lot of really amazing things going on, but you know, not everybody could afford to go to Mozart on the Murray or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was good. I think our tickets were $7 or something.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. Lorna Crane's here with us tonight, and she says, so funny.
Hi, Lorna.
This type of thing is right up Lorna's alley, because she's all about perfectly imperfect, and just there is no such thing as mistakes. So this is right up Lorna's alley. Janet's having a good laugh as well. So thanks, Janet.
I can't believe
I know you are in the dark. You still look great.
Oh, thanks. That's good. I've got to look good.
Yeah, exactly. When I saw your large sculpture work for the first time, I instantly thought of a lady that I also know called Deborah Halpern. She does the large mosaicing or the large sculptures. She doesn't like being called a mosaicing artist because she just uses like mosaicing as a tool, like as the medium to execute what she wants to create.
Yeah.
But one such piece of yours, which reminded me a lot of her large sculptures, was this one here.
Ah.
Yeah. If that was mosaiced, I would have thought it was one of Deb's, you know?
Yeah, actually, that's true. I hadn't thought of that, but that's right. It's very funny. I was telling you earlier, probably 30 or 40 years ago, I remember doing this drawing, and it was a woman holding up a sort of a torchy thing with a star on it, and I'd done it in acrylics with white paint over it and scratched into it, and anyway, blah blah. And 2 weeks later, that image came out in the Age, and it was Deborah Halpern's, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, I thought, how did she get my drawing? And it was her drawing, but it was just that collective conscious thing, maybe, you know. It was just so weird. It was so incredibly alike, all within a small time frame. So it's weird how things like that happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so too. There's that energy and that train of inspiration. Like if it comes through one person and they don't grab onto it, and then it goes to another person, and it's just an idea waiting to be realized, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh well. I'll put that one aside then.
Wasn't yours to have.
No, not really. Although it was just weird when something like that happens, when it was so close. It was almost like a dead replica.
Yeah.
When
if you ever come to where we are in Melbourne, Deb just lives around the corner. So we'll have to take you to her house and her studio, and you'll get to meet her. She's an amazing woman as well, and I think that you guys will just hit it off.
Yeah, I'd love to meet her, and it'd be great to find that drawing and take it down.
Yeah, that would be so cool. She'd love it. She'd really love it.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've worked on huge sculptures, and then a lot of your work is smaller sculptures as well. For instance, this piece here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Well, that was really as a response to asylum seekers, really, and it's the fence is that little picket fence at the bottom, the red. It's actually red spikes coming out of the limestone at the bottom, and then there's the boat that's sort of got the Australian landscape painted on it, and the hands of friendship are extended, but they can never reach shore. You know, they try to come to shore, but they're locked up behind this fence. So
Yeah.
you never get to see the lucky country.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. Do you prefer like working large or smaller?
I think I prefer more intimate sculptures these days. You know, like maybe no bigger than a metre. I'd like to do some for the garden and some that you can have in your house, you know, that you can put on mantelpieces and things like that. Because I think the home is the gallery, and you know, it's all very well to have great big things out there, but as you get older too, it's harder to make really big things because of the heavy work. You know, like some of those things are quite heavy. I mean, I can still lift a 20-kilo bag of cement, but I don't want to do it every day.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing about large scale work, isn't it? Just the scale of everything that's involved. It's not just the finished product. It's the
If you could get funding and you could design it, then you could just help sort of get it together. That would be fine. But I think if you have to physically make it yourself, which I've had to do with most of the pieces that I've done, it's it's hard going.
Yeah. Your last solo exhibition really captured the hearts of a lot of people, I think. It was called Performance on an Egg. Can you tell us a little bit about that exhibition and what influenced those creations that you made?
Well, the title Performance on an Egg was really from a title by Hieronymus Bosch, who was a painter in the Renaissance, Dutch. He had a title called Concert on an Egg, and I thought, that's a pretty unusual title. It's pretty interesting. So I thought, I might do a series of works based on the egg, because the egg is like the nucleus of life and the start of everything, and it's a perfect shape. You know, the symmetry of an egg is amazing. So I built these eggs. I built one really big one, about a metre or so tall, with a big, huge ladder. And then I made 8 of those. That's the big one. And it's got this ladder that's like over a metre tall, a little copper ladder that goes all the way up. And it's made out of wire and plaster and tissue paper. And then I've patinaed it with, I had some paper that was a metallic paper, and I wet the paper and rubbed it onto the surface of the tissue paper, and the metallicness came off the paper that I'd had, and it gave it this sort of slightly metallic sort of patina. And then I came over the top of that with lead pencil, like just grey lead, and scribbled all over it and rubbed it, and built up the surface that way. And I've done that a lot on the other eggs as well, not just with the metallic paper, but with other techniques, because one of the things I can do is make amazing surfaces out of paint.
Right.
I remember at uni doing a whole subject on surfaces. I made a book out of all sorts of surfaces, like using eggshells, some of them using lacquers, some of them using all sorts of things anyway. So I've always been really interested in making surfaces that have a really interesting sort of earthy patina.
I love this one here. This is gorgeous.
That one Yeah, I sold that one. That one had a hole in the middle. See where that is actually a ladder. That curved thing is actually a ladder. But coming out of that inside there's a swimming pool on there. It's made out of liquid resin, but it was coloured a very beautiful blue aquary sort of colour. And then it had all these little pins all over it, just dressmaking pins that I'd stuck in and painted and made on the surface, and plus some leaves that I'd covered with paper mache and added on, and little boat out of copper, bit of copper, and yeah.
Are they designed to be outside, those sculptures?
No, they weren't. They were meant for inside. But I mean, as I've been making my newer work, I've been thinking about that and thinking it would be good to have them so that they could be out in the garden. It'd be really, more versatile.
Yeah. These ones are gorgeous too.
That one on the right's called the Conjurer, and it's got a little thing, it's got a wand with a little thing on the end of it, which you can't really see in the photo. And the other one is the Damned, and that's directly from Hieronymus Bosch. That's a guy upside down with a big bunch of flowers coming out of his backside, on the top of a ladder, balancing act on the top of a ladder. I really enjoyed making those because they were all political. I had the Second Amendment, the gun lobby thing in the States, and they all had a bit of a message, an ecological message, I guess. Climate changey sort of message. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier that when we were talking that you made 140 pieces for that exhibition.
I did.
That's incredible.
It took me a year. I worked solidly for a year. I'd make sure that I'd go out to the studio every day and, set my times so that I didn't sort of run away too much and go on holidays too much that year. But it was worth it because I actually loved every minute of it, really. I just had a good time.
Yeah. What advice would you give to anybody thinking about having an exhibition of their own and how to schedule your time and how long to make? I mean, I know there's obviously so many variables, but just the idea of putting a body of work together, what advice would you give people?
I think first of all, you really have to know your space where you're going to exhibit it, because that will determine how many pieces you need. So say you go into a really large space, you might need more than 20, you might need 40 pieces, depending on their size. So you start with that. And then your materials, you have to work out how long it would take you to make one, and then try and divide that up into the year and to see how, give yourself a year to get it together. And I think it's really good to write a bit of a proposal about what you're planning to do, because it keeps you on track. You can wander off in all sorts of other directions if you don't. So I often write myself a bit of a proposal about what I'm hoping to achieve at the show, what I would like it to look like. And, I don't set that proposal in too many concrete terms, but more just, like it might be that you want it to do with the environment, you want them a limited size, you want X number, that sort of thing. And, write a bit about why do you make strange things? It's good to...
Yeah, exactly. We were saying earlier that there's a lot of, I don't know if there's a lot of pressure, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure for artists to have a really compelling artist statement. Yeah. And they put a lot of pressure on themselves maybe to find the right words.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's true, but I also think that you really have to be a bit true to yourself. And I think, I don't know, I've found as I've got older, it's easier because I'm less caught up in the hype, I sort of I don't really care. I mean, I just make things now because I enjoy making them, and if I don't sell them, I don't care. It's nice if you do, but I'm not sort of hell bent on trying to make things work just to sell things. Do you know what I mean? I think I've gone off the question, actually. I think I've gone a little bit there.
No, I think it does tie back to, having that artist statement. I mean, an artist statement, I guess you're writing it for others, not really for yourself, are you? So same with creating your work?
Yeah, well, I think when I write my artist statement, I'm trying to write it for me, to get out of me what I would like to say or put into it. And I try to sort of guide the work that way. But also I think writing a statement often informs people too, because people can look at a work, but they don't necessarily get, they just say, oh, your mind must be totally mad, how do you come up with these ideas and all that sort of thing. But it's really just, I don't know, it's just you start with one thing, it leads to another thing, and then, that idea builds on another thing, and next thing you've got lots of ideas.
Yeah. And your ideas seem to ebb and flow. Like you've gone from these eggs now to a total, like, I look at it and I go, wow, is that Jenny's work? Like, oh yeah, of course it is. There's a ladder. Or do you know what I mean? So there's nuances in there that you go, yeah, that's Jenny's work. But can you tell us a little bit more about, and now I know your arm's probably getting tired from holding up the...
No, it's okay.
Is it all right? Yeah, okay. Just tell us when you've had enough. But your recent work here was fascinating. Can you tell us about that one?
Well, that one was for a little show that Float put on down at Lakes Entrance. That's a little local arts enterprise. And it was about the fire recovery. So the outside of that is an old roasting tray that I've cut the bottom out of, that I found at this metal yard that was just thrown out on the ground. And I made a little ladder out of bamboo, and then I made those little witches' hats out of 2 cones of metal. And the show was called Orange and White, so it had to be orange and white. And I just thought, everywhere in East Gippsland after the fires, there was those cones were just everywhere, all over the night,
right,
just everywhere, and people trying to rebuild things, and how are they going to get by? So there's a question mark. So there was a few little metaphors in there, really, with that piece. But it was definitely just made for that particular show.
Yeah. Float's just beautiful. If anyone doesn't know it, look it up. It's just amazing. Andrea Lane and Josephine Jacoby are very hands-on, or they sort of created that project down there, but it's a beautiful floating arts residency. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. We get little Josie most days, little pictures of nature and things that she's doing down there. She's incredible.
And you dropped a bombshell saying that you used to teach Josie.
Oh, many years ago. She did the diploma of art at the TAFE before she went to Monash. So that's when I don't know. I've known Josie for years, really, on and off, and her husband. And you wouldn't think Lakes Entrance was that far, but I don't see her that often these days. I think, I don't know, it's only half an hour away, but I tend to gravitate to your own spot. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I've been down at her farm and had a look, and things like that. It's really good.
Yeah. What do you think it is about Gippsland in particular that creates or fosters so many wonderful artists?
It could be that the community's small, so people know a lot. You know a lot of people. You get to know a lot of people because it's a smaller community, and people are really supportive. They're really, people are just lovely. I mean, most of the artists here will help anyone else, or show them a technique, or show them, if you need to know something about silver soldering, you can ring up Marcus Foley and go down, and he'll help you out. And it's just things like that. It's just an amazing little community.
It's so important to have community, isn't it? And people that are willing to help, and just, oh yeah, you're from Gippsland, no problem, come and help. I'll come to my studio, I'll show you.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that. I really love that. So I've got a few more pieces of work to show people about your recent body of work that you've been doing during sort of this lockdown period. And yeah, they're feeling like really, really gorgeous and contemporary. Would you like to have a chat about this one?
Okay. Well, this one, it was an old fork from a metal yard that I found, and I've cut the middle out of it. And I made that little copper cornucopia shape with little feet, so it's got a bit of a quirkiness about it. And cornucopias are usually, abundantly full of produce like corn and things from the land. In history anyway, a cornucopia was like the horn of the earth. So this one isn't, because it's black. It's been burnt, and so it's sitting on a copper disc, and it's filled with burnt sticks from Cape Conran from the bushfire, and it's sitting on a limestone base. Yeah, but I've sort of got a bit of the quirk. I still like the quirkiness of what I used to do with Hieronymus Bosch, but I'm a bit over it now, over Hieronymus Bosch, and I think I'm much more into natural materials and things in nature and all of that. So I'm sort of erring towards that more so in the latest work.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I think I'm a sculpturalist. I'm a secret sculpturalist. Is that a word? But I want to show you something, because I might actually gift it to you, because I think you'll do something with it. But so we live in a mining town, like an old mining town. So right across the road from us, there's divots and like grates and old I'm trying to think of the word, alluvial mines and things like that. Now we always go for walks in there, and I found this the other day.
That's fabulous, isn't it?
Do you love it? How good is it? So I started weaving into it, because I want to be a weaver as well as a mixed media artist, as well as a sculptural person. Haven't figured it out yet, but it's really heavy. It's super heavy. Look at the erosion on it. Like,
I know, it's gorgeous.
I know. So, Jenny, I'm going to gift that to you. Okay?
Oh, Ange, that's amazing. I will do something fabulous for that.
I know you will.
I can already almost see what I'm going to do with it.
Oh, do you know what? I'm so pleased, because I always see these things and I go, oh my God, I love that. And I take them, and then they sit there, and I never do anything with them, because maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to do one of your workshops, Jen.
Please do.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
So next time I get to Bairnsdale, which is quite often, because we have family and best friends up there. Oh, look, I'm in jail.
You are?
Literally in lockdown.
You're in lockdown.
That's coming to you, okay?
Love that. Thank you so much, Ange. That's lovely.
No, that's okay. And then you can share with us what you make, and that'd be gorgeous. Yeah. Another thing, I'm going totally off track here, because I don't know, I love rusty things. But another thing that I found inside an old mine was a mattress, and I don't think it's from the mining days. It's probably from a homeless person, but all the old springs, the old springs from the mattresses, and they have all these like curly little doovies on them. And anyway, I think there's something going to happen with those too. I don't know what it is, but they might end up in the parcel on the way to Bairnsdale too.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I love collecting things as well, and anything sort of rusty. And
we've got an old couple here that have a metal yard up at in Lawless Street, and the place is just full of junk. You've got no idea. But you go up there and you can find fabulous copper tube and aluminium wire, and just old roasting tins like I did, last time. And that question marky thing, that was all from up there. He has some terrific stuff, but it's very hard to find because it's all thrown in big piles, So you need to get your working gear on to get up there.
Yeah, for sure. There's There's a guy in South Gippsland called Andrew McPherson, and he's also a Fibre Arts Australia tutor, but he's got an amazing gallery called Ride the Wild Goat, and he works with rusted corrugated iron, and he flattens it out and he wraps it around and he makes these amazing vessels, and he can do anything as well. He's a bit like you, like he's just good with his hands. But yeah.
It's amazing how many years, how many techniques you have at your repertoire. You know, I just sometimes think, oh God, I should write a book about technique.
Yeah, or do an online course.
I could.
Yeah, we'll come and help you.
We could talk about that.
Yeah. One of the things that I fell in love with as well with your work was your huge murals that you make. So you sculpt, you paint and you teach and you do amazing installations. But this is one of Jenny's murals. They're just incredible.
Yeah, that was one out at the Nicholson River Winery, and it's about 7 meters by 5, I think, and it has a few quirks. It's taken it from a Caravaggio painting. Like, I've used Caravaggio figures. He was a Renaissance painter, and you know, the boy on the right is out of the Card Players, which is one of his paintings, and at the back he hasn't got cards. He's got a mobile phone, an Apple phone, and there's a few quirks. You know, like the guy standing over him is like Ken, the owner of the winery, and look, there's just tattoos on the guy with carrying the tray. There's all these little modern things in there, you know.
Yeah. It's just fabulous. It's one of those pieces, the more you look at them, the more you see in it. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Port Douglas painting big murals up there. Most years I usually leave here and go up there in winter, and just get on a cherry picker and just draw it up on a wall and swing the cherry picker out to see if it's in proportion, and swing the cherry picker back. It's such good fun.
Yeah. And your ability to be able to make things in proportion without, you were saying that you don't even need to sketch things out. You just need to, you can just see it.
Yeah, I just sketch it out on say an A4 or an A3 or something, and then draw it straight on the wall with black paint. And but you do need to get back, and then you keep it in your mind's eye as you're coming back into the wall of how far over that needs to be. So say like if you were, for example, drawing a palm tree frond and you made it like 1.5 meters long, and then you got back from it and you realised it really needed to be 3 meters long, you know, like you can sort of do your proportion like that. Sort of some sort of projector.
Yeah, that's incredible. I won't keep you too much longer, Jen. I know it is hard to hold that light up, but have you ever thought about doing the silos, you know, all those amazing artworks on the silos?
Nah. I love them. I think they're amazing, but no, I don't really want to do those. I like flat walls and ones that I can get down and have a cup of coffee off quite easily.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that those silos are just absolutely amazing. So, but I'm sure you could do it if you wanted to.
It'd be fun to do one, maybe, if you had all the right equipment and, you know, the thing down and all of that. Yeah.
I wanted just quickly to give people a little glimpse inside your beautiful studio. So your studio is located on your property. How important is it for you to have your own space?
Oh, I just love it. I just go out there every day, and it's sort of like you're going to work and then you're coming back inside to be back home again, you know. So I find it just really, really, really great.
Yeah.
To have that space, and quite a big space. It's got a couple of work areas. So I've got I was running a little dressmaking business too there for a little while. Still doing a little bit of that. I've got a little dress label called Sister's Closet.
Really?
Yeah. And I just make linen dresses, you know, with a bit of silk screen on them, and just fairly plain. The idea being that they're just meant to be comfortable with pockets and 3/4 sleeves, and just easy to throw on in summer.
Yeah.
So I've got a whole cupboard over there full of fabric that I bought in Japan. And then I've got, the sculpture sort of silver soldering end on one side, and then the painting side up the other end. And it's all, I wish I had a studio 3 times as big, really.
Yeah.
Even though mine's fairly big.
Yeah.
And people come in and go, wow, this is huge, and I think, well, it's not really.
I could do with more.
Perhaps I could just need to tidy up.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Nah, just go bigger.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I won't keep you too much. I know that that's hard, but you've got an upcoming workshop coming up with Fibre Arts Australia. Hopefully that's going to happen in April, which will be so exciting. And I've heard from good advice. There's still a couple of places left. So if anyone's interested in actually learning from you and spending a whole week with you and really, what could people expect in that week?
Well, I'd like to do some work on patinas, for surfaces. And I'd like to do, I've got an idea of using, just testing out some shapes with kelp. I've got some giant kelp from Cape Conjurer recently and stitched it up and made some shapes. And it's tricky, but it's fabulous stuff. When it dries, it's really hard. And I was taught that technique from an Indigenous local lady many years ago. And I'd like to do a bit of soldering and a bit of things like that to, make some sculptures while we're there for the week. I've got lots planned.
That sounds really exciting. I can't wait. Yeah. I'll try and find a whole heap more springs, and maybe you can give them to your students or something if they want to make something with them. I don't know.
They're great. I mean, the whole thing about, like I say in my introduction, really, art can often make itself. And if you bring along a whole lot of different objects, you can get them to come together if you think about the elements and principles of design, and you try this with that, and try making a shape that goes with this, and that's what the workshop's about, really. It's really about exploring how you can make something from nothing.
Yeah.
Stuff that people would throw out most of the time, and adding your own, nice, beautiful little crafted ladder or whatever you might want to add.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Harvey Noni's husband sends his regards. He loves ladders.
Yeah, me too. They're good, aren't they?
Yeah. And Lorna says, hope we can meet again in April. So Lorna will be there again in April too.
Oh, fantastic, Lorna. That'll be good.
Yeah. So Jenny, thank you so much for being our Friday feature artist today. And I can't wait to meet you again in person in April. But just before we go, are there any, we always ask our artists at the end of the interview if there's a parting quote or saying that you'd like to be remembered for as an artist.
Oh gosh, that's a bit of a hard one. I just think don't put off what you can't, don't put anything off. Just make whatever you want to make, just when you can and as soon as you can, because you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad, actually, but never mind. I can't think of anything really good.
No, I think that's perfect, and I think sometimes when it's just off the cuff like that, it's fantastic. So,
you're very good.
I think it's true though, because a lot of people wait for things to be perfect, and then never do anything. So just do it.
I've just been doing some painting, and on these huge canvases. And I haven't painted for ages because I've been making sculpture mainly. But anyway, this particular painting, it's had 8 incarnations. It started off as one thing and it's finished up something completely different. And it's been a really frustrating but interesting journey. And I go out there every day and just do a little bit more, and then I think, yeah, that's better. And then, no, that's terrible. I'm going to have to paint that out.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's funny, things just change, don't they? And they're just it's not quite ready to be born yet.
Yeah, that's right. I think I'm working up to a bit of a breakthrough with the painting, but I feel like I've had a little breakthrough with the sculpture, which is good.
Yeah. Well, your work's absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for sharing it with us tonight. So
it's lovely.
Yeah, I'm going to play a little slideshow, and during that slideshow, people are welcome. Please pop your comments in the little comment box and say thank you to Jenny for being with us. And what a great sport, holding up her phone for a light, like amazing, really, really, really amazing. So
I can't believe I'm in the dark.
I know.
And the heater's gone off because I've got natural gas, so I'm sitting here in the no heater, and I might have to go to bed and read my book.
Yeah, just keep drinking.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jenny. I hope you stay warm, and we will see you in April at Fibre Arts Australia.
Thanks, Ange. That's lovely. Bye. Bye, everyone.